Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome. It's nice to see you, Mr. Powell. My first question is about CBDCs. There's been some chatter lately on the social media that people are concerned about the Fed creating a CBDC without legislative authorization. You and I have discussed that before. And as you know, there are other means other than a CBDC that could use digital assets to create a secure and instant payment system other than a CBDC. So the question is this: do you still agree that the Federal Reserve cannot introduce a U.S. central bank digital currency without congressional authorization?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. That's really calms people's fears, the people who are concerned that we could end up with something like the digital yuan that is used as a means of surveillance. So I think that will calm some of those discussions down. Thank you so much.
Hey everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and Bitcoin is looking stable, actually moving sideways with some lift about 12 hours ago, followed by settling at the mid to high 68,000 range. With a mixed market, more in the green than the red, the total market cap is 2.6 trillion. Pretty strong. It's up just a bit. Volume on the last 24 hours, check this out. 89% is in stable coins. So you're an investor in this space and you're thinking to yourself, well, okay, that's great, but how do I make money on stable coins? Well, what you do is you focus on those companies that are providing the services and products to facilitate the stablecoin. For example, protocols that provide the issuance of stablecoins, you have custody. You really want to pay attention to those protocols with smart contracts. There's companies that provide regulatory compliance solutions. There are auditing tools. There are Oracle services. When I went to this event in Tokyo just the other night, Remy from GMO was talking about the stable coins that they are issuing, and I brought up the question about oracles because many of the oracles out there are centralized. One of the few decentralized oracles to provide that pricing data is with Flare Networks. We really want to place as little trust on a third party as possible, and decentralized oracles, in my opinion, are very important. The Bitcoin dominance today is 51%. So where is the market action? Well, WorldCoin, which is ranked 73, is the biggest gainer in the top 100. The project, which I think many of you have heard about, this orb that is scanning for proof of human. It's on a mission to build the world's largest identity and financial network as a public utility. Founded by Sam Altman, you can get Orb verified. They have raised $250 million from some big VCs like 16Z, Bain, Tiger Global, among others. The token associated with that is WLD. It's deployed on Ethereum mainnet and bridged over to Optimism, which is a layer 2 network. So it inherits security from both blockchains. It's trading today at about $10.66. It's up 46%. The max supply is 10 billion. 75% is owned by the community. And the volume was 277 billion, and it's up. Wow, big time. Mostly on the news that Sam Altman of OpenAI had some board changes, and everybody is giving a thumbs up to the selection. Gala also was up today, 35% on the 24-hour, despite their internal legal battles. And Root, one of my favorites, is up 10%. Render, everybody's happy who owns Render, 54% up on the 7-day, 12% up on the 24-hour. We've got Near, Fetch, Arweave, Sandbox, Filecoin, all in the 10% range of gains. And XRP, unfortunately, sideways at 62 cents, even on the announcement that the AMM has reached consensus at 82.86%. Now, if it can hold this for a couple of weeks, the AMM will go live this month. It hit that threshold with 29 yays and 6 nays. This is a graphic from Vet, and he's so right, because AMM with tools and services is great, but an AMM without tools and services is not so exciting. We have to have those tools and services now built. It's not just a flip of the switch. And my guess is Ripple has probably been working on something in the background, probably ready to launch when it does go live. The sponsor at the Wave of Innovation, XStick, did a great job designing an NFT. I hope I have a hair day this good on stage. And I occasionally check in on the price of my one Trump NFT, not because I'm a Trump fan and not because I'm not a Trump fan. I use it as a gauge to test the health of the NFT market. And it's still quite strong. This was an NFT that launched at $99, and the floor price for the trading cards is at $550. So it's holding its own. These are the last of the plum blossoms in Tokyo. However, check this out. Somebody from the Ripple team was in Tokyo and shared his photo where he identified a blooming cherry tree. That would be Raul Advani, part of the policy team located in Singapore. And he wrote a haiku, a Japanese poem, and followed the 575 rule. It's there at the bottom. He wrote, "Fintech's rising sun, regulations guide the path, innovation blooms." Nice job, Raul. Now I'm going to let Pomp take you out because everybody needs to know what Bitcoin is doing as all boats rise with its tide. Until next time, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.
And Bitcoin is basically back to those record highs from a couple of years ago. Joining us now is Anthony Pompliano, a founder of Pomp Investments. And it's kind of a fool's errand to ever try to figure out where Bitcoin is headed. But just in terms of things that are on the horizon, we got the halving coming up. We've had the ETF that was recently, spot ETFs are now becoming more mainstream. And how long has it been? Has it been 2 months? It started maybe a little bit slow, but then it's been like kind of a rocket ship.
If you look over the last 60 days and in the next 60 days, I think there's two big stories. The ETF approvals obviously were a huge deal. BlackRock alone has $11 billion in their ETF. They added $1 billion just in the last day. And so these are massive inflows for just one fund. There's 11 of them. And so obviously there's tons of money coming in, about 12 times more demand for Bitcoin than what the network is producing every single day. But also, as we near this record high, if we go back and we look at past record high breaks, or if we eclipse the old all-time high, 3 of the 4 times Bitcoin doubled in 18 days or less. And so if you think about that for a second, once you break through an all-time high, it's price discovery. What is this thing worth? The world is going to try to figure that out. And 3 of the last 4 times in 18 days or less, it doubled in price. You add in the fact that we have the halving coming, and we're going to go from 900 Bitcoin a day coming into the supply to 450. And it's very hard to make an argument that Bitcoin is not going much higher and at a faster pace than we all expected.
I mean, when you do the math, I feel like I need to say that past results are not indicative necessarily of the future, because it just you sound so, I mean, it just sounds that anyone at home would, you know, if they're totally new at this game, they might mortgage their house and put it all in Bitcoin. And there is still risk in the asset, is there not?
I definitely don't think that they should do that, right? If you go and you ask most people in the Bitcoin world, they will tell you higher percentages than you would expect in terms of what they've put in. But I think 1 to 5% for a traditional portfolio ends up making sense.
But you just made a case for going from 70 to 140 in 18 days. I mean, that sounds like things that you hear on TV where you just want to really stay away from.
Bitcoin's up 20% in the last week. It's up 60% in the last month, and it's up 200% in the last year. I'm not saying it's going to 140,000. What I'm saying is 3 of the last 4 times, it doubled in 18 days. And with a halving upon us, it's just hard to not say this is likely to go much, much higher. And so what I think also we start to pay attention to here is, look, there's 3 main new buyers that are now going to come into the market. The first is public pension funds, right? We had a fund. It was anchored by 2 public pension funds in Fairfax County. Catherine Molnar and Andy Speller were the CIOs there, and they're up 12x on their exposure to Bitcoin in that fund. And so when you see that, you say to yourself, wait a second, there's only 4 funds last year in all of state public pension funds that were fully funded. If they all went and put 1% in Bitcoin, there's a very strong possibility that a number of those funds would get back to fully funded status over the next 10, 15, 20 years. On top of that, you got sovereign wealth funds. They've been very quiet right now. There's now ETF opportunities for them. They don't have to go buy Bitcoin and potentially take the risk of the geopolitical backlash. They can simply go get the exposure without actually holding the Bitcoin. If a sovereign wealth fund comes out, especially a major one, and says, we've bought Bitcoin and it is a material percentage now of our portfolio, I think that there will be a global race between countries.
Do you think gold is up in sympathy with Bitcoin? I mean, why is, or is there inflation? The 34 trillion, inflation is coming down. Is it 34 trillion? Is it the number? Is it the amount of debt and how quickly it's growing that has Bitcoin and gold both strong in recent sessions or in recent months?
If you go and you look, one of the critiques of Bitcoin was it was a zero interest rate phenomenon, right? Oh, if rates are down, Bitcoin's up. Yeah. If rates go up, Bitcoin comes down.
They haven't come down.
Well, rates are up and Bitcoin is back to an all-time high. Stocks are up, et cetera. So what Bitcoin has become is a index for global liquidity. And although the Fed, the ECB, and Japan are actually contracting their balance sheets, China has been basically giving the middle finger to the rest of the global economy. Okay. And they're saying, hey, we're going to ease here. We're going to go and put liquidity into the market. And so Bitcoin is a big, big winner. If you believe that the dollar is going to continue to be debased over the coming decade, Bitcoin's going to be a winner. And if you think global liquidity is going to go up, Bitcoin's going to be a winner there too.
And what's gold's market cap? Is it? That's
10 trillion or so.
10 to 12 trillion.